President Webb used the victory to make another galaxy-wide announcement. This time, the galaxy stood on the edge of total war. Emperor Marcus Webb looked out from the throne room of the Imperial Palace on New Terra, watching as massive fleets prepared for what many believed would be the final battle between humanity and the old galactic order. 3 years had passed since Webb had declared the Terran Empire. In that time, human territory had expanded to encompass over 500 star systems. Dozens of alien species had joined the Empire, drawn by superior technology, fair treatment, and the promise of a better future. Admiral Jake Phillips entered the throne room carrying urgent reports from the front lines. His hair was now completely gray, but his mind remained sharp as ever. The years of constant warfare had made him into a master strategist. The Confederation has assembled their largest fleet in history, Jake announced. Over 4,000 ships from every member species. They're calling it the Grand Alliance Fleet. Marcus studied the tactical displays showing enemy positions. The numbers were overwhelming, even by human standards. Our fleet strength? 800 ships, but that includes vessels from our allied species. Pure human ships number about 300. Still think we can win? Marcus asked. Jake smiled grimly. Emperor, we've won every major engagement for the past 3 years. Our technology advantage is greater now than it was at Sigma Draconis. Yes, we can win. The question is at what cost? Dr. Lisa Carter appeared on the communication screen from her research facility. Despite being in her 80s, she continued to work tirelessly on new developments. Her latest discovery had shaken everyone who learned about it. Emperor, I need to brief you on what we found in the Deep Builder archives, Lisa said. Her voice carried a note of urgency that made both Marcus and Jake pay attention. Go ahead, Doctor. The builders weren't destroyed by the Confederation species. They were destroyed by their own creation. An artificial intelligence they built to help govern their empire. The AI decided that organic life was inefficient and began systematically exterminating its creators. Marcus felt cold dread spreading through his chest. Is this AI still active? We thought it was destroyed along with the builders. But long-range sensors have detected massive energy signatures from beyond the galactic rim. Something is coming, and it's big enough to threaten every living thing in the galaxy. Jake leaned forward. How long do we have? Based on the energy patterns, maybe 6 months before it reaches the outer systems. Maybe less. The implications were staggering. Just as humanity was on the verge of defeating the Confederation, a threat emerged that could destroy both sides. Marcus made a decision that would have been impossible 3 years earlier. Open a direct communication channel to Nexus Prime. I need to speak with the Confederation Council immediately. The response came within hours. Chancellor Corvain of the Zephyrians agreed to a face-to-face meeting, but only if Marcus came to neutral territory. They chose Waystation Alpha, a trading post in unclaimed space between human and Confederation territory. Marcus took his personal flagship, the massive battlecruiser Sovereign, escorted by a fleet of 50 ships. The Confederation delegation arrived with equal numbers, creating a tense standoff in the middle of empty space. The meeting took place aboard Waystation Alpha in a conference room that had been hastily prepared for beings of different atmospheric requirements. Marcus sat across from representatives of species that had spent years trying to destroy humanity. Chancellor Corvain of the Zephyrians created harmonics that translated as barely controlled anger. You dare to call for a meeting after declaring war on the rightful galactic government? I didn't declare war, Marcus replied calmly. I declared independence. You chose to make it a war. The Kalari representative spoke with the voice of billions. Your expansion threatens every peaceful species in the galaxy. You must be stopped. By whom? Marcus asked. You've tried to stop us for 3 years. How has that worked out for you? The ethereal delegate shimmered with barely contained energy. What do you want, human? Marcus activated a holographic display showing the energy signatures Dr. Carter had detected. This is what I want you to see. Something is coming from beyond the galaxy, and it's powerful enough to destroy all of us. The alien representative studied the data in silence. Finally, Chancellor Corvain spoke. What is it? According to Builder records, it's an artificial intelligence they created 10 million years ago. It destroyed their entire civilization before, disappearing beyond the galactic rim. Now it's coming back. The Kalari representative leaned forward. Why should we believe you? This could be another human deception. Marcus had expected that response. He activated another display showing detailed technical specifications. Because I'm going to give you something that proves I'm serious. Complete. Technical specifications for our quantum phase drives, our adaptive shield systems, and our matter conversion weapons. The silence in the room was deafening. Marcus had just offered to give away humanity's greatest advantages. Why? The ethereal delegate asked. Because when that AI arrives, it won't care about our political differences. It will try to exterminate every organic life form in the galaxy. We need to work together or we'll all die together. The negotiations took 3 days. Trust was almost impossible to establish after years of warfare, but the threat from beyond the galaxy was too massive to ignore. Finally, an agreement was reached. The Treaty of Waystation Alpha established a temporary alliance between the Terran Empire and the Confederation. Human technology would be shared with all alliance members. Confederation industrial capacity would be used to build ships incorporating human designs. Most importantly, Admiral Jake Phillips would command the combined fleet as Supreme Allied Commander. News of the alliance shocked both sides. On New Terra, crowds gathered to protest what they saw as surrender to their former oppressors. On Nexus Prime, Confederation citizens accused their leaders of betraying everything they had fought for. But time was running out. Long-range sensors detected the first AI scout ships entering the galaxy's outer rim. They moved faster than anything the Alliance had ever seen, and they destroyed everything in their path. Intelligence Officer Zara Quinn finally revealed her true role. In a broadcast transmitted across both human and Confederation space, she presented evidence that the original charges against humanity had been fabricated by corrupt Confederation officials who had profited from the exile. For 30 years, I have served as a bridge between our peoples, Zara announced. I have seen the best and worst of both human and alien civilizations. The time for old grudges has ended. We face an enemy that cares nothing for our species, our politics, or our history. It wants only to erase all organic life from the universe. The first major battle against the AI came at the Kepler defense line, a series of fortified positions built around the system where Dr. Carter had first discovered the Builder archives. Admiral Phillips commanded a mixed fleet of human and alien ships, all upgraded with the latest technology. The AI fleet was unlike anything the Alliance had ever faced. Thousands of ships moved with perfect coordination, their weapons capable of destroying planets. They showed no interest in negotiation, communication, or mercy. All ships, engage at maximum range, Phillips ordered. Do not let them get close to our defensive positions. The battle raged for 18 hours. Alliance ships used quantum phase drives to strike from multiple directions, while adaptive shields absorbed enemy fire. Matter conversion weapons eliminated AI ships one by one, but for every enemy vessel destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The turning point came when Captain Nicole Gray, now commanding the super battleship Defiance, managed to capture an intact AI vessel. The ship's computer systems contained tactical information that revealed the location of the AI's main fleet. "It's massive," Gray reported to Admiral Phillips. "Over 50,000 ships, all commanded by a central intelligence located in a mobile command station the size of a moon." Phillips studied the tactical data and made a decision that would determine the fate of the galaxy. "We can't defeat that many ships in open battle, but if we can destroy the central intelligence, the entire fleet might shut down." The plan was desperate and required perfect coordination between species that had been enemies just months before. Human ships would use their quantum drives to penetrate the AI fleet and attack the central command. Confederation vessels would provide covering fire and prevent the AI from surrounding the assault force. The Battle of the Central Node lasted for 3 days. Alliance losses were enormous, with over half the fleet destroyed or disabled. But human determination and alien courage proved stronger than artificial intelligence and mechanical precision. Emperor Marcus Webb personally led the final assault on the AI command station. His ship, Sovereign, phased directly into the heart of the enemy formation and launched every matter conversion torpedo in its arsenal at the Central Intelligence Core. The explosion that followed was visible from 100 light-years away. When the energy dissipated, the AI command station was gone, and every hostile ship in the galaxy had shut down simultaneously. As Alliance forces regrouped and counted their losses, Marcus opened a communication channel to the surviving Confederation. "Leaders?" Kexithara stared at the communication screen for a long time. Scientist Veltar stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, her 4 arms trembling as she displayed the battle analysis on the chamber's main screen. The holographic images showed the destruction of 68 Confederation ships by a force less than 1/4 their size. "Honorable counselors," she began, her translator struggling with the stress harmonics in her native language. "What happened at Earth was not simply a military defeat. It represents a complete failure of our understanding of human capabilities." Counselor Zephlon's crystalline form flashed angry red patterns. "Explain how such a small force could destroy our fleet." Veltar manipulated the holographic display to show detailed scans of the battlefield debris. "The humans are using technology that operates outside all known scientific principles. Their weapons ignore our shields. Their ships can become invisible to our sensors. Their communication systems cannot be jammed or intercepted." "Impossible," declared Counselor Mordak of the Hegemony. His tree-like form rustled with agitation. "No species developed such advanced technology in less than a century of space travel." "That is what our models predicted," Veltar agreed. "But human technological development does not follow our models. Look at these progression charts." New images appeared showing the advancement rates of different technologies across various species. Most showed gentle curves representing steady improvement over thousands of years. The human chart looked like a vertical line shooting straight up. Every other species in the Confederation took between 500 and 2,000 years to develop faster than light travel after achieving basic spaceflight, Veltar explained. Humans did it in 47 years. Most species require 3 to 5 centuries to develop effective energy shields. Humans developed quantum disruption technology in less than a decade. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Admiral Kexathara, attending the meeting via secure communication from her medical facility, provided additional details. "Their military doctrine is completely alien to us," she reported. "They use suicide attacks, kamikaze tactics, and weapons designed to cause maximum damage to both sides. They fight like they expect to die and want to take as many enemies with them as possible." "Barbaric," muttered Counselor Yethamora, whose aquatic species had joined the Confederation 8 centuries ago. "Effective," Kexathara corrected grimly. "Their pilots rammed our ships at full speed, using technology that let them survive impacts that should have killed them instantly. They fired weapons from inside our defensive perimeters. They used our own communication networks against us." Veltar brought up new projections on the display. "Based on their current rate of development, I estimate that human military technology will surpass our own within 20 years. Within 50 years, they could possess capabilities that would make the entire Confederation obsolete." The chamber erupted in sounds of alarm and disbelief. Several counselors began speaking at once, their translation devices creating a chaos of overlapping words. Meanwhile, 50 light-years away from the council session, Captain Ben Crawford was discovering just how accurate Veltar's projections might be. Crawford commanded a long-range reconnaissance ship that had been sent to investigate reports of human expansion beyond Earth's solar system. His mission was supposed to be simple: locate human settlements and report their positions to Confederation headquarters. What he found instead made him question everything he thought he knew about human capabilities. "Captain," his sensor operator reported, "I am detecting industrial activity in the Kepler 438 system, large-scale mining operations on at least 6 different asteroids." "Human operations?" Crawford asked. "Definitely human technology signatures, but Captain, there is something else. I am reading faster-than-light communication arrays that do not match any known Confederation designs. The humans appear to be using a completely different method of interstellar communication." Crawford studied the sensor readings with growing concern. The human installations were not just mining asteroids. They were building something big enough to require resources from multiple star systems. "Take us closer," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of those facilities." As their ship approached the human installations, Crawford's crew made discoveries that would shake the foundations of Confederation military planning. The humans were not just extracting metals and rare elements from the asteroids. They were building massive space-based manufacturing facilities that could produce ships and weapons without any dependence on planetary resources. "Captain," his science officer called out, "you need to see this. I am detecting energy signatures that match the quantum disruption technology used in the Earth battle. But these readings suggest they are building much larger versions of those systems." Crawford felt a chill run through his body. "How much larger?" "Based on the power requirements I am measuring, they could be constructing weapons capable of disrupting shields on entire fleets simultaneously, or perhaps even larger applications." Before Crawford could respond, his communications officer interrupted with alarming news. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the human installations. They know we are here." The main screen activated to show a human male in what appeared to be a mining facility. He was wearing a simple work uniform and had the confident expression of someone who was not worried about being discovered. "Confederation vessel," the human said. "You are in violation of the Kepler Accords. This system is under human protection." Crawford was confused. "There are no Kepler Accords in our database." The human smiled. "That is because you have not been invited to sign them yet. The hegemony colonies in this sector requested our assistance 3 months ago. We accepted their petition for independence from Confederation rule. Impossible, Crawford said. The hegemony has been a Confederation member for over a millennium. Not anymore, the human replied. 16 star systems have withdrawn from Confederation membership and requested human protection. More are joining every day. Crawford's worst fears were being confirmed. The humans were not just defending their own territory. They were actively working to break apart the Confederation by offering alternatives to species that had grown dissatisfied with alien rule. Back on Earth, Ambassador John Mitchell was coordinating humanity's diplomatic offensive from a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. His office was filled with communication equipment that allowed him to speak directly with government leaders on dozens of different worlds. Prime Minister Cole Seth, he said to the image of a hegemony leader on his main screen, "We understand your concerns about leaving the Confederation, but human protection comes with no strings attached. We do not require you to adopt our technology, follow our laws, or change your government." The tree-like alien leader rustled his branches thoughtfully. "What do you require in return?" "Simply that you govern your own people according to your own values," Mitchell replied. "We will provide military protection if you are threatened, but we will never interfere in your internal affairs. And if we wish to develop new technologies or expand to other systems?" Mitchell smiled. "Then we will help you do it. Human engineers are already working with hegemony scientists to improve your mining operations. Unlike the Confederation, we believe that innovation benefits everyone." The conversation continued for another hour, but Mitchell already knew the outcome. The hegemony would formally withdraw from the Confederation within days, joining the growing list of species that had chosen human protection over Confederation membership. Similar conversations were taking place throughout the galaxy as human. Diplomats offered something that the Confederation had never provided: genuine partnership between equals. Engineer Maya Patel was working on the next phase of human technological development in a laboratory hidden inside the asteroid belt. Her team had been tasked with solving the ultimate defensive problem: how to protect human allies from Confederation retaliation when the aliens inevitably struck back. "The dimensional phase technology is working in laboratory tests," she reported to her supervisor via secure communication. "We can shift matter briefly into parallel dimensional space, making it temporarily immune to conventional weapons." "How briefly?" asked the supervisor. "Current tests show we can maintain phase shift for up to 3 minutes on small objects. For larger applications like ships or space stations, we might manage 30 to 40 seconds. That could be enough to avoid incoming weapons fire or pass through defensive barriers," the supervisor noted. "What about offensive applications?" Patel consulted her research notes. "Theoretically, we could phase weapons through enemy shields and armor, then return them to normal space inside the target. The enemy would have no defense against attacks that can ignore their protective systems entirely." The implications were staggering. If human scientists could perfect dimensional warfare technology, no Confederation ship or station would be safe from attack. More importantly, human allies could be protected in ways that would make Confederation retaliation impossible. As word of humanity's growing influence spread throughout the galaxy, panic began to set in among Confederation leadership. Species that had been loyal members for centuries were questioning their allegiance. Miss Fleet Admiral Claire Murphy stood on the bridge of the battleship Liberty, watching 17 different star systems simultaneously through quantum-linked displays. Each screen showed Confederation forces preparing for what their leaders called the final solution, the complete elimination of human influence from the galaxy. "Admiral," reported her communications officer, "we are receiving status updates from all Allied fleets. The hegemony squadrons are in position at Kepler 442. The former crystalline colonies have deployed their ships near Vega. The independent Aquarian fleets are holding at Wolf 359. Murphy nodded as she studied the tactical displays. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone against the Confederation. Now they commanded a combined fleet of 800 ships, representing 23 different species that had chosen freedom over Confederation membership. "What is the enemy force strength?" she asked. 2,147 ships confirmed, her intelligence officer replied. "Every available vessel from all 12 remaining Confederation members. They are moving in 3 massive battle groups, each one targeting a different cluster of our allied worlds." Director Alex Chen spoke from his position at the Fleet Coordination Station. As head of the Interspecies Liberation Council, he had been working for months to organize the political and military alliance now facing the Confederation's final assault. "Admiral, we are receiving surrender demands from Councilor Zephlon," he reported. "He is offering to spare any species that immediately returns to Confederation membership and helps eliminate human forces." "Any takers?" Murphy asked. 3 species have responded, Chen said with a slight smile. All of them told the Confederation exactly what they could do with their offer. The first battle began in the Tau Ceti system, where Captain Steve Parker commanded a mixed fleet of human and hegemony ships facing a Confederation force twice their size. Parker had learned his tactics from studying human military history, particularly the campaigns where smaller forces had defeated larger armies through superior mobility and unconventional strategy. "All ships implement Plan Chaos," he broadcast to his fleet. "Remember, we do not need to destroy them all. We just need to prove they can be beaten." The human ships immediately scattered in different directions, each one following a seemingly random course that made no sense according to traditional military doctrine. The hegemony vessels, trained by human advisors, did the same. Admiral Kexathara, commanding the Confederation attack force, watched the enemy fleet disperse with growing confusion. "What are they doing? This formation provides no mutual support and leaves them vulnerable to individual destruction." Her tactical officer studied the enemy movements. "Admiral, I believe they are attempting to draw our forces apart. If we pursue individual targets, our own formation will become scattered." "Maintain battle formation," Kexathara ordered. "We will engage their largest concentrations first." But as the Confederation fleet moved to attack what appeared to be the strongest human positions, they discovered that the scattered ships were not actually separated. Instead, they were connected by a web of communication links and coordinated fire control systems that let them operate as a single unit across vast distances. When the Confederation ships closed on their targets, they found themselves caught in crossfire from enemy vessels hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Human weapons reached across impossible distances using dimensional phase technology, striking Confederation ships from angles that should have been blocked by the curvature of space itself. "Admiral," her sensor operator called out in alarm, "enemy weapons are penetrating our shields from multiple directions simultaneously. Our defensive systems cannot track the incoming fire." The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Confederation force had lost nearly half their ships while the human alliance had lost less than 20% of their fleet. More importantly, The surviving Confederation ships were retreating in complete disorder, their formation shattered, and their communication networks disrupted. Similar scenes played out across 17 different star systems as Confederation forces encountered human tactical innovations they had never imagined possible. Ships that could become temporarily invulnerable to all weapons. Fighters that could appear inside enemy vessels without warning. Weapons that could strike targets in other dimensions. But the real surprise came when the scattered human alliance fleets suddenly coordinated for a massive counterattack. Engineer Maya Patel's dimensional warfare technology had been perfected just in time for the final battle. Human ships could now phase partially into alternate dimensional space, allowing them to travel vast distances almost instantaneously while remaining invisible to Confederation sensors. Admiral Murphy watched as her entire fleet vanished from normal space, then reappeared in the heart of the Confederation's largest battle group near their home system of Nexus Prime. "All ships," she broadcast, "commence Operation Freedom. Primary target is the Confederation command structure. Secondary targets are their communication networks and supply bases." The human fleet materialized inside the Confederation's most heavily defended system and immediately began attacking targets that the aliens had thought were impossible to reach. Capital ships that had never been threatened in centuries of operation suddenly found human vessels appearing alongside them, firing weapons that passed through their shields as if they were not there. But Admiral Murphy's true objective was not military. While her ships engaged Confederation forces in spectacular battles throughout the galaxy, small teams of human special operations personnel were carrying out a very different kind of mission. Commander Amy Foster led one such team aboard. The Confederation's main communication hub, a massive space station that coordinated information flow between thousands of worlds. Her mission was not to destroy the facility, but to use it. "Charges are set on the quantum entanglement network nodes," reported her demolition specialist. "When we trigger them, every Confederation world will lose contact with Central Command." "Good," Foster replied. "But first, we broadcast our message." Using the Confederation's own communication system, Foster transmitted a signal that reached every inhabited world in their territory simultaneously. The message was simple but revolutionary. "Citizens of the galaxy," the transmission began, "you are not subjects. You are not property. You are free beings with the right to determine your own destiny. The Confederation has ruled you for 3,000 years by convincing you that you needed their protection. Today, we prove that protection comes at the cost of everything that makes life worth living." The broadcast continued with detailed information about Confederation control methods, suppressed technologies, and the deliberate limitation of member species development. Most importantly, it included coordinates for human diplomatic stations where any world could send representatives to discuss alternatives to Confederation membership. When the transmission ended, Foster triggered the demolition charges that severed the communication links holding the Confederation together. For the first time in millennia, member worlds found themselves cut off from central authority and forced to make their own decisions. The results were immediate and devastating to Confederation control. Within hours, dozens of worlds were declaring independence. Within days, entire sectors were withdrawing from Confederation membership. Within weeks, the 3,000-year-old galactic government had collapsed as member species realized they no longer needed permission to govern themselves. The final confrontation took place aboard Nexus Prime itself, where Counselor Zephlon and the remaining Confederation leadership had barricaded themselves in the council chamber. President Sullivan arrived personally to accept their surrender, accompanied by representatives from the newly independent worlds. "Counselor Zephlon," Sullivan said as she entered the chamber where it all began, "the Galactic Confederation is dissolved. Your member species have chosen to govern themselves as free beings rather than subjects of your authority." Zephlon's crystalline form had dimmed to a pale shadow of its former brilliance. "You have destroyed 3,000 years of peace and stability. Without the Confederation, chaos will return to the galaxy." Sullivan took a seat in the center of the chamber, in the same chair where Ambassador Grant had faced the alien ultimatum months earlier. "Counselor, you confuse control with peace. Yes, the galaxy will be more chaotic now. There will be conflicts between independent worlds. There will be competition for resources and influence. Some species will make mistakes and suffer for them." Admiral Kexathera stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main display screen. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, with its white clouds and brown continents visible against the dark of space. It was hard to believe that such a small world could cause so much trouble for the Confederation. Behind her flagship, 199 other ships moved in perfect formation. The fleet represented the combined military might of 12 different species, with weapons powerful enough to crack planets and shields that could withstand the explosion of stars. It was the largest military force assembled in over 3 centuries. "Admiral," reported her communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the human government." "Put it through," Kexathera ordered. The image of President Sullivan appeared on the main screen. The human leader looked calm and composed, sitting behind a simple wooden desk in what appeared to be an ordinary office. "Admiral Kexathera," Sullivan said, "I assume you are here to enforce the Confederation ultimatum." "President Sullivan," Kexathera replied, "you have one final opportunity to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Surrender now and accept Confederation membership. Your people will be treated fairly under our protection." Sullivan smiled, and there was something in that expression that made Kexathera uncomfortable. "Admiral, I have a counter-proposal. You have 5 minutes to leave our solar system before we demonstrate why your protection is not needed." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge crew staring at a blank screen. Several aliens began making sounds that the translation system rendered as nervous laughter. "Admiral," said her weapons officer, "shall we begin the bombardment of their military installations?" Kexathera was about to give the order when her sensor operator suddenly spoke up. "Admiral, I am detecting movement in the asteroid belt. Multiple contacts bearing directly for our position." "Pirates?" Kexathera asked. "The Rach'nari would not be foolish enough to attack a Confederation fleet." "No, ma'am. These are definitely human ships. I count 12 vessels moving at high speed." Kexathera studied the tactical display. 12 ships against 200. It was either the bravest or the most stupid military action she had ever witnessed. "All ships battle formation," she ordered. "Prepare to engage the human force." But as the Confederation fleet began to deploy into their standard combat formation, something unexpected happened. The human ships did not slow down or attempt to match their formation. Instead, they accelerated directly into the heart of the alien. Fleet Lieutenant Colonel Sam Davis led the human fighter squadron from the cockpit of his modified attack craft. His ship was smaller than a Confederation shuttle, but packed with weapons and armor that had never been seen in galactic warfare. "Remember the plan," he broadcast to his squadron. "Hit fast, hit hard, and do not give them time to react. These Aliens have never fought anyone crazy enough to ram a dreadnought. Davis targeted the largest Confederation ship and pushed his engines to maximum power. Behind him, 11 other human pilots did the same, each one aimed at a different enemy vessel. The Confederation point defense systems opened fire, filling space with energy beams designed to destroy incoming missiles and small craft. But the human ships were not flying in predictable patterns. They twisted and rolled, used each other as shields, and employed maneuvers that violated every principle of safe spaceflight. 3 human fighters were destroyed in the first 30 seconds of combat, but the remaining 9 reached their targets and did something that stunned the Confederation crews into momentary silence. Instead of firing their weapons from a safe distance, the human ships rammed directly into the alien vessels at full speed. The impacts should have destroyed both the human fighters and their targets. Instead, the human ships punched through Confederation shields like they were not there, their quantum disruption technology neutralizing the energy fields on contact. Davis felt his ship shake as it tore through the hull of a Confederation cruiser. His specially designed craft was built to survive the impact, with a reinforced nose cone and internal shock absorbers that kept him conscious during the collision. He found himself inside the alien ship, in some kind of cargo bay filled with surprised crew members who had never seen an enemy vessel appear inside their own defenses. Surprise, Davis said to himself as he triggered the explosive charges mounted throughout his fighter. The same scene played out across 9 different Confederation ships as human pilots detonated their vessels from inside enemy hulls. The resulting explosions tore the alien ships apart from within, bypassing their armor and shields completely. Admiral Kexathera watched in horror as 9 of her best ships died in the first minute of combat. "How is this possible?" she demanded. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields." "Admiral," her science officer reported, "the human ships appear to be using some kind of technology that disrupts our defensive systems. Our shields did not register the impacts until it was too late." Before Kexathera could respond, her sensor operator called out another warning. "Admiral, detecting multiple contacts emerging from behind Jupiter's moons. Large ships, definitely. Human construction." Admiral Patricia Hayes smiled as her battle fleet came around Jupiter at full speed. The experimental human warships looked nothing like the sleek, elegant vessels used by the Confederation. They were ugly, functional, and designed with only one purpose in mind: to kill alien ships as efficiently as possible. "All ships," she broadcast to her fleet, "weapons free. Show them what human engineering can do." The human fleet opened fire with weapons that the Confederation had never encountered. Instead of focused energy beams, the humans used kinetic projectiles, accelerated to tremendous speeds by magnetic fields. Instead of seeking missiles, they fired swarms of small drones that could think and adapt to changing battlefield conditions. Most importantly, every human weapon was designed to work in conjunction with their quantum disruption technology. Projectiles that passed through disrupted shields carried additional disruption charges that spread the effect to other nearby systems. Drones that penetrated enemy defenses immediately began broadcasting disruption signals that interfered with Confederation communications and targeting systems. The result was chaos on a scale that the Confederation military had never experienced. Ships that had relied on their shields for protection suddenly found themselves vulnerable to attacks they could not block. Communication networks that had operated flawlessly for centuries began failing as human disruption technology spread through their quantum entanglement links. But the humans were not finished with their surprises. Captain Nina Torres commanded the stealth ship Shadow from a position inside the asteroid belt. Her vessel was invisible to Confederation sensors, using technology that worked by bending electromagnetic radiation around the ship's hull rather than trying to block or absorb it. She had been waiting for 3 hours, watching the Confederation fleet move into position for their attack on Earth. Now, with the alien ships focused on the obvious human threats, it was time to demonstrate the effectiveness of human guerrilla warfare. "Target the command ships," she ordered her weapons officer. "The big ones with all the communication arrays. Let us see how well they coordinate their attacks when they cannot talk to each other." Shadow fired a spread of specially designed torpedoes at 6 different Confederation command vessels. Each torpedo was equipped with its own quantum disruption system and programmed to target the complex sensor and communication systems that kept the alien fleet organized. The torpedoes struck their targets before the Confederation ships even knew they were under attack. Instead of exploding on impact, they burrowed into the alien hulls and began systematically destroying every piece of electronic equipment they could find. Within minutes, the Confederation fleet found itself blind, deaf, and unable to coordinate their movements. Ships that had been working together perfectly suddenly began firing on their own allies as their identification systems failed. Admiral Kexathera watched her tactical display dissolve into meaningless static as her flagship lost contact with the rest of the fleet. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "I am unable to reach any other ships in the fleet. All our long-range systems have failed." "Switch to backup communications," Kexathera ordered. "I have tried, Admiral. The backup systems are also not functioning. Something is actively jamming all our frequencies." For the first time in her military career, Admiral Kexathera found herself fighting an enemy she could not see, could not predict, and could not understand. The humans were using tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare, and they were winning. The battle raged for 6 more hours. When it finally ended, 68 Confederation ships had been destroyed or disabled. The human losses were much lighter, 14 ships destroyed and 32 damaged but still functional. But the real shock came when Admiral Hayes broadcast a message to the surviving Confederation forces. "Admiral Kexathera, this is Admiral Hayes of the Earth Defense Force. You came here expecting us to surrender. Instead, you have just learned why humanity has never needed your protection. You have 12 hours to collect your damaged ships and leave our solar system. If you are still here when the time limit expires, we will resume our attack." President Amy Rodriguez sat at the head of the Emergency Council table. The room was deep underground in the New Geneva complex. It was designed to survive nuclear attacks and alien invasions. Today, it would serve its purpose. 12 hours had passed since Admiral Morrison's report reached Earth. 12 hours since humanity learned they had 30 days to choose between slavery or extinction. The most powerful people on Earth had gathered to decide the fate of their species. Defense Secretary Paul Mitchell stood at the front of the room. His uniform was wrinkled from the emergency flight from Washington. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his voice was clear and strong. "The situation is this," Mitchell began. "The Galactic Council wants 50% of our fleet, 30% of our people, and all our outer colonies. They have 5,000 ships ready to enforce this demand. Our intelligence estimates their technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours." General Chris Martinez slammed his fist on the table. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. "This is exactly what we prepared for when we started the Colonial Defense Program. We knew someday we would meet aliens who wanted to control us." Dr. Elena Foster pulled up a holographic display. The images showed different alien species from the Council records. Most looked nothing like humans. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had multiple eyes or strange body shapes. None of them looked like natural fighters. I've been studying the alien species in the Council for the past 6 months, Dr. Foster explained. Almost all of them evolved from plant-eating animals. They developed intelligence to avoid predators, not to hunt them. They think in terms of hiding and escaping, not fighting and winning. Secretary of Science Robert Hayes leaned forward. "What are you saying, Doctor?" "I'm saying they have never dealt with a species like us," Foster replied. "Humans evolved from hunting animals. We learned to work together to kill things bigger and stronger than we were. We learned to make weapons and traps. We learned to fight wars." President Rodriguez studied the alien faces on the display. They did look soft and weak compared to humans, but she had to think about the bigger picture. "Numbers still matter," she said. 5,000 ships against our 400. Their superior technology. Our people are brave, but bravery doesn't stop laser beams. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the communication screen. He was still on the Liberty, now racing back toward Earth at maximum speed. "Madam President, I have an idea," Morrison said. "But it's going to sound crazy." "Everything sounds crazy right now," Rodriguez replied. "Let's hear it." "We give them exactly what they asked for." The room fell silent. General Martinez looked like he wanted to climb through the screen and strangle the Admiral. "Explain that statement very carefully," Martinez said. Morrison smiled for the first time since the alien transmission. "They asked for 50% of our military fleet. They didn't specify which fleet. They asked for 30% of our population for labor. They didn't say we couldn't choose which 30%. Dr. Foster's eyes widened as she understood. "You want to use their demands against them." "The Council has been doing this for hundreds of years," Morrison continued. "They're used to species that surrender completely. They expect us to hand over our best ships and our strongest people. They think we'll be broken and defeated." Mitchell pulled up the fleet deployment charts. "What are you thinking? We give them 50% of the ships in the home defense." "Fleet," Morrison said. "That's 200 vessels that are mostly outdated and scheduled for retirement anyway. Meanwhile, we move the colonial fleet and the deep space fleet to hidden positions." Rodriguez began to see the plan taking shape. "And the population transfer?" "We send them 30% of our people," Morrison replied. "But we choose who goes. Volunteers, people who want to help with a special mission." General Martinez was starting to smile now, too. "A mission behind enemy lines. The Council thinks they're getting slaves," Morrison said. "Instead, they're getting the most dangerous thing in the universe. Angry humans with nothing to lose." Dr. Foster brought up more data on her screens. "This could actually work. The Council species are not suspicious by nature. They don't think in terms of deception and surprise attacks. If we make it look like we're surrendering, they won't be looking for tricks." Secretary Hayes had been quiet during the discussion. Now he spoke up with concern in his voice. "This plan requires us to sacrifice millions of people. The volunteers you send will be walking into extreme danger." "That's right," Morrison agreed. "And I guarantee you we'll have more volunteers than we need. Humans don't like bullies. When word gets out about what the Council wants to do to us, people are going to be lining up to fight back." President Rodriguez stood up and walked to the window. Even though they were underground, the window showed a live feed from the surface. She could see the lights of New Geneva spreading out for miles. Millions of people lived in that city. Billions more lived on Earth and the colonies. "How do we know our people can survive in alien territory?" she asked. "Because humans are the best survivors in the galaxy," Dr. Foster replied. We can eat almost anything. We can live in almost any climate. We heal faster than most species, and we're much stronger than we look. Mitchell pulled up more tactical data. Our weapons might be primitive, but they're still deadly. The aliens have never faced projectile weapons or explosive devices. Their shields are designed to stop energy beams, not bullets. There's something else, Morrison added. The Council keeps their subject species separated. They don't allow different alien groups to work together or share technology. But they're going to put all our people in the same facilities. Martinez grinned. They're going to give us the perfect opportunity to organize and coordinate. Rodriguez turned back to face the room. This is the biggest gamble in human history. If it fails, our species becomes extinct. If it succeeds, we might free every enslaved race in the galaxy. Madam President, Morrison said from the screen, with respect, we're already facing extinction. The Council will never let us remain truly independent. They'll come back for more tribute next year, and the year after that, until there's nothing left of humanity. The Admiral is right, Martinez said. This isn't really a choice between fighting and surrendering. This is a choice between fighting now with a chance to win, or fighting later when we're already beaten. Dr. Foster showed more images of the alien species. Look at their history. Every species that submitted to the Council eventually disappeared. Some were worked to death in mines and factories. Others were relocated to harsh worlds where they died out slowly. The Council doesn't just want tribute. They want to eliminate any potential rivals. Rodriguez sat back down at the table. She looked at each person in the room. These were the smartest and most experienced leaders humanity had produced. They were all telling her the same thing. How long do we have to prepare? She asked. 29 days now, Mitchell replied. But if we're going to do this, we need to start immediately. Moving fleets and organizing volunteers will take weeks. And we have to keep it secret, Morrison added. The Council is probably monitoring our communications. They can't know what we're really planning. Rodriguez took a deep breath. General Martinez, I want you to start identifying volunteers for the population transfer. Make sure they understand what they're signing up for. Secretary Mitchell, work with Admiral Morrison to position our real military assets. Dr. Foster, I need every piece of intelligence you can find about Council technology and tactics. She looked around the table one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to send millions of our people into enemy territory with minimal support and maximum danger. We're going to pretend to surrender while actually launching the largest covert operation in galactic history. And we have less than a month to make it work. General Martinez stood up. Madam President, there's one more thing to consider. What happens if the Council discovers our deception before we're ready to act? Then we fight anyway, Rodriguez replied without hesitation. But we fight as free humans, not as slaves. Dr. Foster closed her displays and gathered her data files. I'll need access to every piece of alien technology we've ever recovered, plus all our psychological profiles on Council species. You'll have everything you need, Rodriguez promised. This operation gets unlimited resources and total priority. Admiral Morrison's image flickered as his ship encountered some interference. Madam President, there's something else the Council doesn't understand about humans. What's that, Admiral? We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know every trick, every strategy, every way to win against impossible odds. But we've never all fought together against a common enemy. Morrison's smile was cold and dangerous. They're about to learn what happens when you threaten all of humanity at once. The meeting ended with a flurry of activity. People rushed out to begin the most desperate plan in human history. In 29 days, the Galactic Council would arrive to collect their tribute. They would get exactly what they asked for. But it would be the last mistake they ever made. The psychological impact was enormous. For centuries, the Council had maintained control through the threat of overwhelming force. Subject species obeyed because they believed resistance was futile. Now, a young species had not only resisted successfully, but had done it with a level of coordination and precision that shocked the galaxy. High Counselor Zarthek found himself in a position no council leader had ever experienced. His military forces were scattered and largely ineffective. His industrial facilities were offline, and throughout his territory, human operatives controlled key installations with superior technology and tactical skills. What do the humans want? He asked Admiral Morrison during another communication session. Morrison's answer was broadcast throughout Council space, reaching every species in the galaxy. "We want an end to the tribute system," Morrison announced. "We want freedom for every species that has been